Good day, everybody. My name is Cornelius Jackson. I am the Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23. Welcome to our Black History Month program display. We hope that you enjoy our display, and I hope that you enjoy the message that our past masters have recorded for you, and we hope that you enjoy what we have in display here today. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
John Wesley Joseph. I served as Worshipful Master in 1981 and 2006.
Okay. Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
I consider it to be very interesting in that since I was a youth in Asheville, North Carolina, we used to observe the Masons parading down Hill Street, going to Hill Street Baptist Church. And I was always impressed with the Masons in their black suits, very dignified and upright men. And I always wanted to be a Mason. So after I was discharged from the service, we moved to Jamaica, New York. And from Jamaica, New York, we moved down to Glenard, Maryland. And my wife at the time, Pearline, who we were married for 54 years, was working at the Treasury Department with a friend, Sylvia Buggs. Sylvia and Pearline was very close, and so we used to visit each other from time to time. Charlie understand Sylvia's husband, and I used to always engage in conversation. And for whatever reason, it always came up, introduced by me, that I want to be a Mason. This went on for 2 years, and finally one day in the front yard when I was cutting grass, Charlie came down to visit, and of course we engaged in conversation. And I said, Charlie, I want to be a Mason. He said, do you really want to be a Mason? And he said, yeah. He said, I'll take you in. I said, you have to be a Mason. He said, I am. But I had no idea because he wore no rings, he had no emblems on his car, and that sort. But anyway, he gave me an application. This was in 1974. And I was initiated in apprentice, fellow craft, and then, of course, the Master Mason degree. I was appointed the first year, 1975, as chaplain. And from chaplain the next year, I went to the Junior Master Ceremony. From the Junior Master Ceremony to Senior Deacon. I had 4 months to learn the middle chamber. 4 months, which I did. Wasn't a problem because I was young and I could memorize. But anyway, I did the middle chamber, and the secretary, Fred Jones at the time, said to me after the degree that you only missed one word on the first page. Thereafter, it was clear sailings. And that was from the senior deacon to the junior warden to the senior warden to the Worshipful Master 1981. Well, I was out of Masons, although I was attending lodge meetings and things, but I was not an officer other than past master. And I got a call from the lodge, and they asked me, would you be interested in coming back serving as a senior warden? And I said, yeah. And this was in 2005. That's 25 years later. And from the senior warden at that time back to the Worshipful Master in 2006, where I served. So that was my Masonic journey. The most amazing thing with this all, when we was living in Jamaica, I was working for the United States Post Office, and we had an apartment on the, I guess, the north side of Jamaica. And I had to take my daughter, Donna, over to my mother-in-law who lived in South Jamaica. And when we would ride on the bus, she would, on her own volition, begin to sing, I'm Black, I'm Proud, and had the entire bus rocking. And she did it almost every week as I took her every day over to her grandmother to stand to babysit for me while I went to work. And of course, Pearline would pick her up after work and bring it to our apartment. So that was really a joyful time for us, understand, during that period. My daughter Donna at the time was about 5 years old. Well, 2 years later, we moved to Glenard and stayed in an apartment for 2 years, and then to this house in 1971. I used to drink heavy, I mean very heavy. And one day I had a alcoholic seizure upstairs in the living room, and I fell out unconscious, and when I woke up, I could hear my daughter Donna saying, "Is my daddy gonna die?" And from that moment, I purposed to stop drinking. And I did. I got in bed for 2 days. Saw the elephants and the snakes and those kind of things on the wall. But I come out and I was drug-free, alcohol-free, if you would. And haven't had a drink since. It's 1971, 72. So a couple of years later, I joined the Masons and, of course, got myself together. And because of the non-drinking and the dedication to the lodge, I got promotions, understand, step after step after step up until 21. So that's been my Masonic journey through life, which I think has been blessed.
Okay.
Been blessed.
This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall that was significant to you?
Any period?
Yes.
Well, my journey, the Masonic Order, that was significant. My advancement through the ranks in the lodge was significant. And during that time, as I was advancing through the lodge, I joined the 7 houses in the Masonic Order, up to including the Shriners. So all those periods, I understand, was very significant to me.
Okay. Anything relating to the arts that was pivotal to you as you was being a Mason or becoming a Mason? Is there anything like, let's say, any musician or any type of artwork that kind of inspired you through your journey as a Mason?
Well, you know, when they started having Black History Week, what the lodge did at that time, and this is years ago, I put together a board that had the past masters of Victory Lodge on, and the present worshipful master, and then the history of the lodge, and then provided the lodge with all of the trusted boards that I had, and that was, we all put on displays with whatever certificates I may have had, and that was significant.
Okay. All right. What would you like to say about our past master, Rufus Hamilton?
Oh my goodness, I can't say enough about the esteem that we have for past Master Hamilton, who was at that time the treasurer for many years as I was coming up through the Mason ranks. And unfortunately, I understand past Master Hamilton became ill, so he don't come out as much, but he's held in high esteem in Victory Lodge number 23. Okay. And plus, past Master Hamilton also was a Grand Secretary, Assistant Grand Secretary in the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, which I later understand became Grand Secretary. And he served with me along with past Master Bobby Sears for a year or two before they retired from it all.
Okay. What would be your closing statement for Victory
My
Lodge?
closing statements that any brother who witnessed this video vow and stand to work as strong as they can through their various lodges, and specifically Victory Lodge number 23. And the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. God bless each one of you. Thank you.
I served as a master of Victory Lodge in the year 1989. And what else?
Okay. Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Well, before I started as a Mason, I worked at the FA as a pilot with the FA Hangar 6 at the National Airport. And my vouchers were past Master Sam Clyburn and past master Thomas Hallman, who were both members of Victory Lodge. And they talked me into coming into the lodge in 1982. And I served with them along with Carlton Howard, who was the secretary of the lodge at that time. He was a driver for the Department of Transportation. So I saw him frequently because we flew personnel from the Department of Transportation, including the Secretary of Transportation and some of the other administrators. My journey as a Mason, I really enjoyed because they influenced me quite a bit to do things, to learn the camaraderie with the brothers. And I was very active in the lodge until recently, till the last couple of years. And I don't know what else I could add to that.
Okay. This year theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
Oh, there are a number of significant impacts, but let me see, off the top of my head, one would be when Barack Obama made president, and I was active in helping him, trying to help him get elected. And another time was, let me see, my wife made president of the Lynx Ward, Prince George's County Lynx, and she joined the AKAs, and the lodge was my memory. I didn't serve in any particular lodge, and I'm having trouble with my speech right now because I had a stroke last year, a year ago, and I can't speak too well unless I can make short answers.
But you're doing fine with us. What would be your closing statement as past master of Victory Lodge?
Well, like they say, when you become a lodge, you become a better man. And Tom Hallman and Sam Clyburn, my vouchers, to join the lodge, they looked up to me as a pilot, and I was the chief pilot of the FAA fleet of aircraft at Washington National Airport. And I often flew many trips around the world and many trips throughout the United States, carrying government officials primarily. And Sam and Tom was frequently, they were frequently examples of a man that we should be like.
Okay. Also, and what would you like to say about our dear past master Hamilton?
Rufus.
Yes.
Rufus was he was a character, but I enjoyed him. But as the secretary of lodge, and in the Gann Lodge, he was an example of a brother to look up to, and the Worcester master for him to count on to do things that secretaries were supposed to do. And I often laugh at him because he was always sort of funny when some of his answers to some questions that he was given, faced with. And I don't know, that was a good brother. What can you say about it?
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Greetings, and this is another Black History moment in Victory Lodge number 23. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My name is Clarence K. Chambers. I served Victory Lodge number 23 in the year 1995.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
I joined Victory Lodge number 23 in 1987. And upon being raised, I was immediately put in line by Worshipful Master Gregory Proctor. And I was serving, headed towards the east in each station when I was briefly interrupted by my work schedule. So I had to drop out, but I came back the next year and went on and served chair by chair till I got to the east. I served in each station except Tyler, Chaplain, Marshal, and Secretary. I touched all the other seats. And in 1994, I was elected as a Worshipful Master. And my waist was so small at that time that I had to tie knots in the belt of the master's apron to make it fit. And I served that year, and I didn't take the knots out of that apron until the end of 1995. And I was very proud of the fact that no one had to substitute for me, do any of my work. I learned all my work and was able to perform. And during that year, I'm proud to say that Victory Lodge, they won the jewel contest. And I received honors as Master of the Year in 1995. That was the cherry on top.
This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
You know, thinking back when the 70s came in, and I was heavily into music, listening to music, and Motown began to change over from love songs to social justice songs, and it made me reflect on my life and the community around me. And they came out with songs such as What's Going On, and James Brown had a song, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and it really touched my heart.
What would be your closing statement?
But I tell you, when I became involved with Victory Lodge, I was so proud to be in the company of black men, strong black men, who were always willing to give and sign like as I or anyone else was willing to receive. We in Victory Lodge have reached out into the community, and we did things such as Christmas in April, tutoring at elementary schools, and the Bread of Life program, which exists to this day. We give out food to needy families at Ambassador Baptist Church in Southeast Washington, D.C. And I'd like to also mention that our sister chapter, elected number 6, also helped us with that community service. I am a member also of elected chapter number 6.
All right. Would there be a specific mentioning of our past master, Rufus Hamilton?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. Past Master Hamilton, Rufus F. Hamilton, he served the lodge in 1973. He today is a 50-year member, and he just had a birthday, which brings him up to the right young age of 92. And he served as secretary and I as treasurer for many years. and I tried to get him to come step down when I stepped down and become emeritus, and he stepped down along with me. However, he insisted on going back as assistant secretary. He just has service in his heart, and we all love him for it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings. This is another Black History segment of Victory Lodge number 23. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My name is George M. Woody. I served in 2001 as Worshipful Master.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Well, when I first started, they had me as a steward, but it seemed like I sat in almost all the seats. Went steward, Tyler, junior deacon, senior deacon, junior ward, senior ward, and we served junior ward and senior ward for 3 years straight under Worshipful Master Ellis to try to build a lodge up.
Okay. Finally, this year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
Yes, when Martin Luther King got shot, I was sitting out front, and they was playing on the radio, Say a Little Prayer for Me by Dionne Warwick. And that changed me. I was no more than, I guess, 10 or 11 years old. But it changed my life.
Okay. And what would be your closing statement?
Masonry is something to get into, but you got to be dedicated and stick with it because they come to help people.
Is there something that you would like to say about our past master, Rufus F. Hamilton?
Yes. Rufus F. Hamilton, he was Worshipful Master in 1973. And when I was in there in 2001, he was my secretary. And he always made sure you got everything done on time, all your bills paid on time, all your correspondence. Because I used to send out letters from my house and they never get there. But I take them over to give them past Master Hamilton and they would get there. He was a true brother too. We used to like to go on the trips with the chapters and the lodges. He's always was there, him and past Master Chambers.
So what's one thing that you would tell your grandkids about the importance of Black history?
For them to stick together, and just because you don't have as much as someone else, you still can make it. Masonry is important, and it's important for Black people to stick together, raise up and help each other so we can do better than what we did in the past. Even in '84, it was a whole lot of people sticking together and doing things together. We also had a baseball team. I played on that. But the difference was, by me being younger and the older guys there, they would like to hit the ball and didn't want me to run. I thought that was odd. It's one of them things. As far as coming in, my grandfather was a Mason. And I always wanted to be one because he was one. Right? And when we came in, you had to be somebody in your family or kin had to be a Mason before you could become a Mason. And then they came up with an open window with people that you knew you could bring them in.
Okay.
So the times did change.
All right, what would be your closing statement?
I like Masonry, but you got to be dedicated because a lot of challenges come your way. And things you wouldn't do to help people, you do to help people.
Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Good evening. My name is Roger Addison. My titles are Past Master, Worshipful Assistant Grand Inspector Emeritus, Worshipful Tyler Emeritus of Victory Lodge number 23. I served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge in the year of 2002.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My journey as a Mason started many, many years ago, even before I thought of becoming a Mason. It started with my family, with my father, who was raised in Meridian Lodge number 6 here in Washington, D.C. My grandmother was an Eastern Star in South Carolina. Her name is Pauline Addison. My father is Ben Addison. And I didn't know that it was Masonry was in my blood. My journey with Masonry started back in the year of 1996 in the summer. I'm sitting in the yard with my mom, and I saw a lot of men dressed as I am today coming by the front yard, looking distinguished. And I asked a few of them what was the occasion when they were gone. And a few stopped and said, well, we are going to celebrate the Holy St. John's. I had no idea what that was. And one of them by the name of Past Master Chambers, Past Master Jackson said, stop by and talk to us sometime we'll give you a little education. And by the grace of God, Past Master Chambers worked with me at the U.S. Capitol. So I did get in touch with him, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked, and he brought me application. And that was the start of my personal journey as a Mason.
This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you recall that was significant to you?
Well, being a black man raised in the District of Columbia, there's so many historical things that went on here. But one that strikes my mind is when I was 12 years old growing up in Anacostia. And I would never forget it. I was going to our little family grocery store in the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the neighborhood that we were in today to bury one of our past masters, Leach. And I was in the neighborhood to get my little treat for the day. Looked up at the television, and it was told to us that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And that really touched me at 12 years old, that we lost such a great man. And a few days later, that's when I personally came in contact with the National Guard, because they infiltrated our neighborhood like I've never saw before. That was very pivotal in my recollection. The other thing was when I became employed in the U.S. House of Representatives and saw a congressman by the name of Ron Dellums back in the late 70s. He was a tall, handsome man, and I was a busboy in the U.S. Capitol, bussing tables, and he would come into the cafeteria and would stand there with his head held high among all these Caucasian men. And I thought it was just awesome the way this brother commanded attention. And some 20 years later, I was able to have a conversation with him after my career became much more than a busboy. And I was able to have a conversation with him and told him how pivotal he was in me deciding my career. So those were two awesome moments in my career in Black History.
Okay. Can you tell me something about our past master, Rufus Hamilton?
Rufus Hamilton was one to me in my journey through Masonry that taught me to stay in the book. He was one that taught me that to do anything good, you had to study. Don't do anything half-heartedly. You had to stay in the book. You had to read it. You had to have an understanding of our ritual. And the only way that you could do that was to place yourself in position with other men of knowledge. And that's what I've always tried to do through my Masonic career. And that's something that I've always tried to instill in younger members. Stay in the book, learn, and study.
Okay. What would be your closing statement for Victory Lodge?
My closing statement to Victory Lodge, you know, I always try to be a juvenile kind of guy, smiling and, you know, like to joke a lot. But when it comes to the business of Victory Lodge, I personally think we stand next on a level that is very high. I was looking at the history of Victory just the other day and the accomplishments and the men that we've had here in Victory and that we do have. Victory is an awesome lodge, and I'm just proud to be a part of awesome men. And I will carry Victory in my heart, my mind, my body, and soul to the day that our Father decides that I am no longer needed here, and He calls me home to glory. Thank you.
Ashley, please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My name is John Jackson III. I became a member of Victory Lodge in 1975, and I became Worship Master of the Lodge, Victory 23, in 2004.
Okay. All right. Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
As I was Worshipful Master in Victory Lodge, I was always trying to see what it meant because of the statement, looking for that light that's shining. And I found it by reading the Bible and reading Masonic books and this and that. I found that light, and the light is the word.
Yeah. All right. This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you could recall that was significant to you?
When I read the word, that word was lost at the beginning of my side.
Right.
But after a period of time, I understood what the word means.
Right. So, with the arts, I know you said that you liked Nat King Cole, which is one of our favorite musicians, artists. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Well, I learned about Nat King Cole when he first came on TV. I think that was in the 50s or the early. That was either in the 50s or the late 60s. He was on TV, and at that time, black man was not singing on TV. But he was so good in his singing that they gave him 30 minutes time to sing. Majority of the people was given 15 minutes, but Nat King Cole was given 30 minutes. He wasn't not supposed to be there to sing, but he sounded so good singing his songs until they gave him a show. And that show lasted 15 minutes.
Okay, what would you like to say about past master Rufus Hamilton?
Rufus Hamilton is a good man. He's a good man. He know how to deal with a brother. Okay, he's not a person that have an attitude. He's a person that know how to deal with a brother. He's been there for a long period of time, and he's the one that brought me into the lodge.
Okay. What would be your closing statement for Victory Lodge number 23?
My closing statements for the brothers in Victory Lodge number 23 is not that they just go up every Friday during the meeting to be there. They have to learn a little bit more than just the third, from the first to the third degree. And I think if they do that, they will understand Mason much more than a person that's just there. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, we thank you for your time.
Okay.
That's a wrap. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Good evening. My name is Ulysses Barnes Jr. and I was elected as Worshipful Master in the year 2009.
Okay. Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My journey started in 1986. I was encouraged to come into Masonry by my cousin, the late Past Master Larry T. Scarborough. And growing up in a small country town down in Middlesex, North Carolina, my father was a Mason, and but their attitude was, "Oh, you're not old enough to learn or to know or whatever." So just left it alone. That's the way it was back then when I was growing up. And when I moved up from North Carolina to Maryland, D.C., my cousin encouraged me to come into Masonry. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about Prince Hall. So I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of brothers. I saw the work that they were doing in the community. I saw how it was like another family. So I wanted to be a part of that. And so that helped me when I first got initiated and came into Lodge. That's when I met all these different brothers and everything, and everybody, they surrounded me and encouraged me and welcomed me in. And at that time, I was raised by Past Master, it was Worshipful Master Freeman Boston in September of 1986. And they always encouraged me to stay in the book, but I couldn't. I did, but I was working 4 to 12 on my regular job now, so I just could not see. I'm just like a young guy trying to provide for my family, so I couldn't spend the time that I do now. And so when times got to the point where I had more time and a little extra more money, I got on that journey, and it was, I had the encouragement of a lot of brothers and everything, because I used to come in and I used to sit and listen on the sidelines. I learned a lot of the parts. So when I got encouraged to get in line, and I was appointed by Past Master John Joseph, the first appointment was junior deacon. No, it was I was a steward, and the guys used to hear me reciting the opening, and I wasn't even an officer, so they encouraged me. But one of those persons that encouraged me was Past Master Roger Addison. He always said, "Boys, I know, I sit there and listen to you, you know it." So, and I finally found out that I could do this. I'm glad I kept my foot in the door, kept my people that I came up with, and the guys, they welcomed me in, and they kind of showed me what I need to do to advance. And so that's what I did. And so I'm glad I stayed with it. And I always say, if you don't do it, who will? And you got to have that attitude to give back and do a little more extra. You can't just do enough. You got to do extra. And I always wanted people to
see me doing my work. And one of the things that I always told, and I live by, I always want to make sure that I learned my Masonic work, because I didn't want to embarrass myself, and then I also didn't want to embarrass my lodge. So that's one of the reasons why I did some of the things I did. And now I've gotten to the point of past master. I got assigned to the Grand Lodge, worked for Assistant Grand Secretary Emeritus, Eastern Star, consistory, U.S. consistory #1, and finally I reached one of the highest rank, which is Sovereign Grand Inspector General. And some people seem to think that I know a lot of masonry, what have you, But I like what I do. I like the brothers, and also it makes it easy. Whenever you're doing something that you like, it's not a job.
Okay. This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you recall that arts made a significant impact to you?
When I was in the 12th grade, I was part of one of the first integrated class down in North Carolina, high school, Smithfield Selma Senior High School. And I was a senior, and we had 6 different schools. I think it was like 3 white school and 3 black school. We all went together in this one school. They built one big school and everything, and I had to adjust to my classmates, and that first semester was very turbulent times, because they didn't like us, we didn't like them. And so one of the things that I can remember, I had my dashiki on, and we were getting ready it was a program in the auditorium and all, and that's the first time I ever was in a march. We staged a walkout because they wanted to sing this country, and the name of that song was "This Is My Country." And when they got ready to sing that, all my black students and friends, we got up and walked out, and with our signs, and we rallied around the flagpole and all this. So I said, you know what, we're gonna have to do something now. We can't just let people have it their way, because I figured a long time ago that my opinion is just as good as anybody else.
All right, so can you tell us a little bit about past Master Rufus Hamilton?
Past Master Rufus Hamilton was one of those men. I always looked up to him as a father figure now, because he always gave me good advice, and he didn't never steer you wrong, and he was reliable. If I needed something or I wasn't sure about something, I always would get in touch with him, and he will bring me up to date. If I was going a direction that wasn't conducive to being a good Mason, he would bring me back in. So he was just a rock steady guy.
What would be your closing statement from Victory Lodge?
Young guys coming up, and one of our main things was stay in the book, stay in the book. And you stay in the book, because when you go out before a whole bunch of other brothers from different jurisdictions and everything, you want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. You don't want to embarrass yourself or your lodge or jurisdiction. So just do the work.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My name is Robert L. Ellis II. I had the honor of serving Victory Lodge number 23 as Worshipful Master in the years of 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
I had a pretty interesting journey. I had a cousin down in Florida. I was born and raised in Florida. That was pretty active in the Masons down in Florida. And it had always piqued my interest. but I didn't know a whole lot about it. Then I moved to DC in '98, and my uncle was up here, and I started attending Metropolitan Baptist Church, where Dr. H.B.J. Hicks Jr. was our senior pastor right here at 12th and Hart. And visited there for about 2 years, and I ended up joining the church there. And during the new members orientation class, we got God lined it up. During the new members orientation class, it was a gentleman to my right, and he had a Masonic ring on his left hand. And I noticed it because we were sitting next to each other. And during one of the breaks, I simply just pointed at his Masonic ring. And he responded by saying, "Oh, are you a Mason?" I said, "No, but I want to be." And so therein became the start of a relationship between me and Past Master Joe Dingle, who was my voucher. It was a year later that he got me a petition, and I was coming through getting the first, second, and third degrees in Victory Law number 23, and have been working ever since. And so I was fortunate enough to train under Right Worshipful Past Grand Secretary John Joseph in his second year as master. And he taught me a lot in terms of how the lodge should be ran, the operation of it, kind of having fun, but also being serious. And so I was fortunate enough to come in and do work. And was fortunate enough to be elected as master in 2010. I kind of stayed there for the five consecutive years to try to rebuild Victory Law number 23. So therein lies my journey.
Okay. This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall that art was significant to you?
The only thing that comes to mind, one thing that comes to mind is I used to watch The Cosby Show growing up in the 80s. And it was a painting by an artist, Ellis Wilson, of The Funeral. And that painting was it gained a lot of attention on that particular show. And it depicted a black family walking in a processional to a funeral. It just so happened that we laid the rest out past Master Linwood Leach today. But that particular painting, for me kind of symbolizes, how important, how short life is. And those in the procession behind you kind of is a representation of how well loved you were. And so oftentimes it makes me sit back and think about, am I being of service to others? So when it's my time to be laid to rest, hopefully I'll have a nice processional as a representation and symbolic of those who I've touched, those who I've been able to pour into, and whose lives I've been able to touch just a little bit while the Lord allowed me the opportunity to spend a little time on earth. So just that one painting, the Ellis Wilson painting, was very, very, very instrumental in terms of its symbolic nature. That lets you know how even in death, people can show how you affected them and the love that they have for you.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about Past Master Rufus Hamilton?
Past Master Hamilton is a stalwart. I trained under Past Master Hamilton. He was the secretary for a number of years in Victory, and I was the assistant secretary. And Hamp was serious about his Masonic work. He would tell us all the time, I hadn't missed a lodge meeting in 50 years. And so he was very, very, he took this masonry business very serious, but he was a lot of fun as well. Spent many days at his house, going through our reports and preparing for different things, and had opportunity to talk to his wife, Miss Mertiz, and just really got to know him over a number of years. So he's elderly now, but he's another one that, showed me how you can have fun and crack jokes, but still be serious about the business of conducting the lodge business. So Past Master Hamilton is held in high regard at Victory Lodge number 23.
Okay, what will be your closing statement for Victory Lodge number 23?
My closing statement would be, continue the business of victory, continue to serve. You know, I believe God brought us all here to serve one another. And Victory is just another vehicle that allows us to serve those not only in need, but those in and around us. It warms my heart to see how the Brothers of Victory have joined together and they fellowship together and they do things outside of the lodge. And so it's those moments that's gonna actually get us and keep us around for the next 50 years. And so I would just encourage you brothers to stay focused, be about the business, but have fun while you're doing it. So that way, you know, many hands make light work. And so the sacrifices that you make today will help to make sure that Victory is around for the next 50 years.
Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Well, good evening. I'm Past Master Jeffrey J. Johnson, and I am served as Worshipful Master in 2015 and 2016.
Okay. Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Well, my journey to Worshipful Master is it comes in two stages, I guess. I had to take a look. I actually have my coin, which is 32 years old, because that's the coin that they gave me when I was raised. But I became an inter-apprentice on February the 2nd of 1991. And I was passed to the degree of Fellowcraft on 4/26 of 91 and raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason 6/28 of 91. So that's why I was telling Brother Holmes that you all know me from when I came back, but not from when I was here before. But I was raised in 91. 92, I was a chaplain. 93, I was senior master of ceremonies. 94, I was senior deacon. And I did do the middle chamber.
Okay.
95, I was junior warden, and 96, senior warden. So past Master Chambers, Thomas F., was my junior warden when I was senior warden. He was junior warden. But at that time in 96, I made a decision that I was going to step aside, and so I helped past Master Chambers, Thomas F., get prepared to move from junior warden to Worshipful Master, because I was going to step away because I had some family issues that I was going to take care of, and so I stepped aside. And subsequently, short time after, I became a single parent. So I stepped away from Masonry to raise my daughter. So fast forward 16 years, when I came back in 2013, and I came back, and actually, because I was a senior warden, when I came back into the lodge, I could have gone back into the senior warden seat. I chose to go into the junior warden seat. Thought about for a minute going back to senior deacon, but I didn't want to do that chamber again. I did it the first time. So I became junior warden when I came back in 2013, senior warden 2014, and then Worshipful Master 2015, 2016. So quite a journey.
Yes, it is. This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
That's an interesting question. You know, as you can see, I've been around for a while, so I'm, you know, one of the senior brothers. But when I trace history, my history as well as African American history, but my history in particular, I can always trace my history through a music soundtrack. You know, certain music just sets you in a certain place, sets a certain mode, takes you back to a certain time in history, and so music has been that way throughout for me. You know, I'm an avid jazz fan, but when I say jazz, not the progressive jazz that we listen to now. I'm talking vintage, you know, Coltrane and Miles and those guys. And so, you know, that kind of set me on the path. But music has always had that kind of impact on me, and it always, as I said, kind of sets the stage for whatever's happening, both in my own personal life as well as, you know, what's happening in the world. Music has always been a part of that. So, yeah.
Okay. What would you like to say about our good old past master Rufus Hamilton?
It's so funny, man. You know, when I came back in the lodge, you know, it's just certain brothers that were just a staple. You know, Hamilton was always up there, every lodge meeting. I don't think until, you know, these recent years, I don't think he ever missed a lodge meeting. He was always sitting up in the seat, you know, doing his work. Always had always great attitude. Always, you know, meet you, greet you. Always glad to see you. When you go over his house and you know, you sit down in his living room, and you know, you talk about life, talk about masonry. So always fond memories. You know, wish we could have him back in the lodge with us, and hopefully, you know, one day soon he can be back with us. But when you think about masonry, and then you think about victory and the brothers that have forged victory to get to where it is, you have to think about past Master Rufus Hamilton.
Okay. And what would be your closing statement?
You know, it's interesting to me, and I meant to pull out my trestle board, but to make sure I didn't make a mistake. But I went back to my trestle board, and I looked at the brothers that I had in my administration, and looking to where they are now. The junior past master was in my administration. The current worshipful master was in my administration. The senior warden, sitting right here, was in my administration. So, you know, those are all folks that I had a hand in setting their path, and they kept through and followed through with it. So it you know, thinking about history, and as we approach and, you know, move on to Black history, it just made me think. After I had to do a little research so I could share with you my history, it made me feel kind of good that maybe I did a little something in masonry to kind of set some folks on the path. So.
All right. Of Black History and Victory Lodge number 23. Please introduce yourself, including your year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Good afternoon. My name is Corey Satterwhite. I served as Worshipful Master years 2017 and 2018.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
Well, I can start, I guess, all the stories from the beginning. Started as a child. My father, Vernon Satterwhite, he is a Master Mason. Actually, Prince Hall, he's a member of John F. Cook Lodge number 10, right here at the temple. And all through my life, I always saw his. We didn't come up. He didn't have a home office. He had a home office, a home area. And I used to always see all this paraphernalia and certifications, things on the wall, whatever, and I much admired it. But as life would have it, he's a good man, good master mason. In fact, I need to tell him that more often. Family came first. He had 3 sons to raise, so life happened, and he kind of fell by the wayside masonically. So go through life, fast forward about 30 years. I'm sitting in my grad school class, and I end up sitting next to Jeffrey Ponder. He was actually the sitting worshipful master of Victory Lodge at the time, and we struck a conversation. Of course, it's always rain. Struck a conversation, and one thing led to another, and that fall I started my journey into masonry. And what Victory is very good at is they immediately, once you get in the lodge, they put you to work, which is good. So I kind of just worked my way up through the junior steward over the years, all the way to up to worshipful master. You're laughing at cute.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
I can't think of one particular incident. I can think just how art has been a major influence in my life. Not so much paintings and sculptures, but definitely poetry. There have been some great works, great words of inspiration. Your great poets, your Dunbar, your Langston Hugheses. In fact, whenever I need inspiration, I turn to one of my favorite poems. Actually, it's not by an African American, but it's still this poem. It's by William Henley, Invictus. And whenever I just spout those words, whenever I feel a little inspiration, the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried out loud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my
You
fate.
save 3
I am the
minutes
captain
beyond
of my soul.
95 north and avoid an object en route.
This year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
Well, not so much one incident comes to mind, or moment in history, but I'll always say that the arts have been very influential in my life. Not so much paintings and sculptures, but definitely poetry. They're your great poets with their words of inspiration. Your Langston Hugheses, your Paul Dunbars. One particular poem, even though it's not by an African American, it's still it serves as great inspiration to me. And whenever I feel the need, feeling down, feel the need for inspiration, I turn to that poem, and it's Invictus by William Ernest Henley. And it goes, out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charred with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my faith. I am the captain of my soul.
What would be your closing statement?
A very wise master mason actually past master Robert Ellis, Victory here. He once said to me, "You get out of masonry what you put in it." And I've learned that, and over the years, I have gotten a lot of rich rewards from the time, energy, and effort. It's a labor of love, but I feel it hasn't gone. I mean, it's been. I can't even. I'm trying to think of the proper words to express it. It's been a very satisfying journey and very fulfilling journey. And I would say that, like I said, for all my other master masons out there, you will get out of masonry with what you put into it. You may not feel that way when you're going through the struggle, but in the end, it makes everything very, very much worthwhile. So definitely, good afternoon and happy Black History Month.
Is there something that you would like to say about our past master, Rufus Hamilton?
That's my secretary emeritus. I happen to have the pleasure of being the worshipful master during his, technically it was his 51st year of masonry, but we still had the pleasure. I had the pleasure of honoring him and giving him his roses, so to speak, during my administration. So, Past Master Hamilton, as you're out there, know that I love you, know that we in Victory loves you, and we'll always appreciate everything you've done for Victory and Freemasonry.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge, number 23.
Past Master Nolan Chase served in 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge, number 23.
So my journey, when I first started, came in the lodge, young, dumb, and definitely didn't know what to say, how to move, but the Brothers of Victory adopted me, took me in, continually gave me words of encouragement, built me up, and you know, ultimately trusted me enough to be elected into the honorable seat of Worshipful Master.
Okay. Finally, this year's theme for Black History is African Americans and the Arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made significant impact to you, such as Hattie McDaniels winning an Oscar, Harry Belafonte and his activism songs like Stand Up by Common or James Brown, or I Am Black and I'm Proud, or the Negro National Anthem, etc.?
So one pivotal moment when art and history had a impact on my life was during my time in college. There was not a particular event that took place at that time, but a art professor who told me that my artwork looked like that of Harlem Renaissance renowned artist Jacob Lawrence, who became my artist inspiration. Jacob Lawrence was a great artist, great painter, did a lot of storytelling in his artwork, a lot of bold colors and shapes. And as you can see here, that's really what allowed me to finish college. My undergraduate degree is in art with a focus in graphic design. And while I was in college, I felt like, you know, my work didn't look like everybody else's, just similar as coming into the lodge. Didn't feel like everyone else, didn't feel like I was proficient enough. But drawing that correlation between my artwork and the artwork of a very renowned artist allowed me to continue my walk and finish college. Much like in masonry, the encouraging words and kind words of the brothers around me allowed me to continue my walk in masonry, and ultimately led me to be who I am today.
Cool. So, do you have a closing statement?
But the closing statement that I can say is that, of course, Black history is our history. Our history is our history. We need to take pride in our history, because in order to know where we're going, we have to know from whence we came.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself, including the year you served as Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
My name is Dennis Isaac McCall, and I served 2022 and 2023.
Tell us about your journey as a Mason to Worshipful Master of Victory Lodge number 23.
I was raised in 2014 with 9 other cable toes, 2 of them being my sons, my oldest Derek and my youngest son Alex. And immediately when I was raised, I became an officer by being asked to be a junior steward. And from there, I took a fast track for the last 10 years. It'll be 10 years in 2024. I went from junior steward to junior deacon. From junior deacon to junior warden. From junior warden to senior warden. And finally, graced the East. And here I am, 10 years, almost 10 years later.
Okay. This year's theme for Black history is African Americans and the arts. Is there a pivotal moment in history that you can recall where art made a significant impact to you?
Well, that's easy. The day that President Barack Obama was elected and inaugurated, in his inauguration, I never forget it. I have relatives that came up from North Carolina and other places. And another reason I remember that day was cold as I don't know what that day. But that was an extremely pivotal moment as far as I'm concerned in Black history.
Okay. What would be your closing statement?
My closing statement will be, every day is Black History Day. And this statement, which was very profound to me when I became a Scoutmaster, and to this day, and that statement is, each one, teach one.
Okay. And what would you say about our great past master, Rufus Hamilton?
Brother Hamilton, he will make sure that you give him his money. It don't matter whether you was in the North Pole, South Pole, East or West. Brother Hamilton was going to say, hey, you got your money ready? And a dedicated brother. I mean, he spent well over 50 years coming and not missing a meeting. So to him, I say he's an excellent example of what Mason should be.